Today, we're jumping into the massive, multi-billion-dollar world of online influence. You know, it's this huge industry that's got a grip on our attention and our wallets. But as we're going to see, it's also facing some pretty big questions about where it's headed. So, just how big are we talking here? To really get a handle on the sheer scale of this thing, let's break down a few key numbers. Get this, by 2025, the whole influencer marketing industry is expected to be worth a staggering $32.5 billion. I mean, that is a huge jump from just a few years back, and it really shows you how much cash is pouring into advertising led by creators. And it's not like that money is just disappearing. Brands are seeing a major return on their investment. For every single dollar a business pumps into an influencer campaign, they're getting back an average of $5.78. And that's just the average. Some companies are reporting returns as high as $18 for every dollar spent. Now that is an ROI that's pretty much impossible to ignore. And it's not just businesses that are all in. You can see the public interest just exploding. Google searches for the term influencer marketing have shot up 400% since 2016. So yeah, this isn't some niche strategy anymore. It's a full-on mainstream part of how marketing works today. Okay, so we know it's huge, but how does it actually work? I mean, what's the secret sauce here? How can a simple social media post be so incredibly good at getting people to buy stuff? Well, at its very core, it's all about trust. Influencer marketing is basically leveraging that connection, that trust, that creators have spent years building with their followers. Think about it. Instead of some random, annoying ad interrupting you, it's a recommendation woven right into the content you were already watching and enjoying. And that's where we see this huge difference between an influencer and, say, a traditional celebrity. It's not just about being famous. It's about having this very specific, targeted trust within a niche community, right? An influencer feels like that smart friend who knows a ton about skincare or gaming. Well, a big movie star, well, they just feel kind of distant. And this approach is super powerful with younger audiences. Gen Z in particular really values how relatable online creators are. I mean, they'd basically grown up with these people, watching their day-to-day lives. That builds a kind of bond that, a huge movie star on a red carpet, they just can't match that. So why does it work so well? It's really this powerful cocktail of different things. You've got trust, you've got this feeling of authenticity, and then there's this really fascinating psychological thing called a parasocial relationship. That's basically the term for that one-sided friendship that we, the audience, feel with the creator. And because of that feeling, when they mention a product, it doesn't feel like an ad. It feels like a genuine recommendation from a friend. Okay, but with this absolute explosion of influencer marketing, a really important question comes up. It's a question that gets right to the heart of what influence even means. And here's the thing we really need to unpack. Is getting paid to promote a product the same thing as having real influence? Are they the same? Let's dig into that a little bit. Yeah, see, according to author and podcast host Matt Brown, we get these two things mixed up all the time. He makes the case that the commercial influencer is all about promoting themselves, while someone with true influence, they're focused on elevating others. So that's the real distinction, right? On one hand, you have a paid marketing tactic that's often chasing vanity metrics. Follower counts, likes, stuff that looks impressive but doesn't necessarily mean anything. And on the other hand, you have true influence, which is about creating real, lasting change because you're providing value, not because you got a check. And according to Brown, building that kind of real influence isn't just a one-off thing. It's a process. First, you have to actually capture people's attention, which is hard enough in our noisy world. Then you use that attention to get people to do something. And finally, you leverage that action to create a much bigger, scalable impact, something that goes way beyond just one sponsored post. And this whole distinction leads us right into this huge contradiction that's sitting right at the heart of the influencer economy. There's this massive disconnect between all the money being spent and the actual trust that's being earned. I mean, look, the commercial power is definitely there. You can't deny it. A recent study found that half of all influencer followers made a purchase because of a recommendation, and they spent on average $372. That is real money, real economic impact. Okay, but here's where it gets really weird. When you ask people who they actually trust for product advice, the answers are pretty surprising. Influencers come in a distant third. People trust crowdsourced reviews, like on Reddit or Amazon, way more. And get this, they even trust AI chatbots a little bit more than a human influencer. So that's the big question, right? If we don't really trust them, why are we spending so much money based on what they say? This huge gap between their selling power and our actual trust, it points to some serious cracks in the whole foundation of influencer culture. It really seems like we, the consumers, have gotten pretty savvy about all this. We've learned how to separate things, right? We can enjoy the content for its entertainment value while still being skeptical of the paid sponsorship behind it. We might love the video, but deep down, we know it's a business deal. And maybe that's why a whopping 72% of people now say that influencer culture just isn't healthy. So, with this whole paradox in mind, where does that leave the future of influence? If our trust is going down, but the money keeps pouring in, what comes next? Well, for one thing, technology is absolutely changing the game. A full 60% of marketing pros are already using AI in some way. They're using it to find the right creators, to manage their campaigns, to measure the results. The whole business side of the industry is getting way smarter and a lot more automated. And all of that tech is leading to some really wild new trends. I mean, we're seeing the rise of completely virtual AI-generated influencers who have millions of real followers and drive actual sales. It's crazy. At the same time, you're seeing brands shift their strategy. They're moving away from just paying for one-off posts and looking for deeper, long-term partnerships. And they're demanding proof of real ROI, not just a bunch of likes and shares. Which kind of leaves us with this one big final question to think about. In a world with algorithms and AI creators, as that line between human and machine starts to get really blurry, and as we all get more and more skeptical, what does authentic influence even mean anymore? And what are we going to value in the influencers of the future?